So, just to give some context for the discussion that we're going to have today, we know that one of the challenges in the future will be to find ways to respond to major disruptions, uh, just like the one that has been caused by COVID-19. So, how does it affect corporate governance? So, today I'm joined by three experts who are going to discuss lessons that have been learned and propose some practical recommendations for corporate leaders interested in learning how to make more sustainable decisions during times of disruption and financial change.
Boards are supposed to represent the best interests of the firm, its shareholders, and also the interests of its stakeholders. But then the differences in objectives between boards and shareholders and boards and other stakeholders may affect how boards function and what directors do.
As a director, I think of the long-term interest of the corporation. I have a fiduciary responsibility of confidentiality and conflict of interest. I have a responsibility to create and protect value of the corporation. We oversee and approve strategic direction and monitor management performance. So thinking of that in the context of the pandemic, that is a big responsibility.
Individually, and speaking from my experience, I would say, it's really about being curious and being a student. And I say that quite honestly, that mindset of being a student has really helped me a lot as a director, because it allows me to bring, experiences and perspectives, to be opening to listening to those different perspectives.
I would say that one of the things that we did learn is that we had to test different scenarios. We had to dig into possible outcomes and determine what the risks and opportunities were. Um, Boards more than ever, we should be adding value, and we shouldn't be creating work for management. Of course, we needed and still need to balance extreme oversight, which this pandemic required initially, with practical issues. We had to think about safety. We had to think about liquidity concerns. And finally, we had to think of the community, which includes our employees as well as our clients.
And the one thing that I would also add, I guess, and reemphasize is, the importance right now of the board to be really attuned and involved in sort of the care and culture of the organization. People having to balance living and working and being at home and what that means. And I think there is a real responsibility as the board to check in.
To reduce the uncertainty, boards need to ensure that there is a clear and robust communication policy in place, and that policy should keep all stakeholders informed about what's happening and what the firm is doing.
I think that the role of the board, as Ali pointed out, was definitely helping to guide the organization through the crisis and to stress various business scenarios, to bolster capital, to be creative and helpful. I think that we're going to have to consider interests of all company stakeholders, employees, shareholders, regulators, communities, customers, much more so. In addition to that, I think we're going to have to think about climate, the environment. All of those things have come to the forefront. Finally, we're going to return to a good governance principle where our basic responsibility is one of oversight of corporate management as well as business strategies consistent with the goal of long-term sustainability.
One is that there has been a leapfrog of the importance of certain plans and priorities. And I mean that especially around anything that has to do with digitization. The other is around data. And I think its strategic uses and the governance of data will change quite a bit. We all have lots of data. And I would say, with few exceptions, most organizations will say that there is always more work to be done to meaningfully, gain insights into our data, to tailor it so that products and services, can match the consumer or the user or the member at the end of that.
Board structure and composition will probably change. It seems like going forward, firms will need to take into account the perspectives and voices of other stakeholders in their decision-making process. One of the roles of the board is to provide advice, as we mentioned at the beginning. And in this capacity, directors bring their skills and experience to solve their firm's problems.
Well, Michelle, Tanya, Ali, thank you very much for your expertise, your insights into this very interesting topic.